Hello, everyone. My name is Jared Kettinger, and I am your host today for our presentation of Canadian Rockies by Rail with our brand here, Railbookers. Let's jump in, let's dive in, and talk about the subject of the day. Now, folks, I do just want to make you aware before we get too far into the presentation that you should be aware of two distinct brands here at our company. Of course, Railbookers, which is the host brand of the presentation today, but we are also Amtrak Vacations just the same. Now, what is a Railbookers independent rail vacation? What is an Amtrak vacation, for that matter? Well, what we do here at our brands is plan and organize and package together hotel stay, sightseeing, attractions, excursions, all of the great and neat stuff that makes a vacation whole. And we, again, plan it, organize it, even customize it, and tailor make to your needs and requests, along with the wonderfully relaxing, convenient, and scenic experience of traveling by train. Whether it is here within the contiguous United States with Amtrak Vacations, or all around the world in Canada, Europe, Australia, South America, parts of Asia, and points beyond with Railbookers. Now, overall, what does Railbookers and Amtrak Vacations offer? Well, as I just said, the packages, which include everything you are seeing on your screen now. The hotel stay, ranging at 3, 4, and 5-star level hotels for you to pick from. Yes, you get to choose from a menu of hotel options that we can provide where you're going to stay. We include sightseeing activities, excursions, in the bits and pieces like a ferry or an airport transfer, those other inclusions that make a package whole and complete. And of course, like I said, the train experience, whether it be the tickets, whether it be applicable cabins on board the train if you're traveling overnight, and we plan it and organize it and make it easy for you so it's all taken care of before you even step out on your trip. And it is important to know that any of our packages can be customized or personalized or tailor-made, whatever you want to call it, to fit your specific travel needs and requests. Meaning, you can take a already pre-organized package with Railbookers or Amtrak Vacations, and that might be a one-destination trip. It might be a multiple destination trip. And if there's something or somewhere you want to visit and have that included, we can plop that in. We can make sure that the trip starts and ends round trip in the same spot, meaning you might be coming from your most local hometown train station. So you can pick up and start the trip and end the trip at that station. Or you may be flying into and out of a major city with a major applicable airport, and so you need to start and end there. We can make sure that happens just the same. And we can book itineraries in reverse. So if you're looking on our website and you see an itinerary that goes stop A, stop B, and then stop C, but you want to flip it on its head, just let us know. We can do that. As I mentioned before, we can upgrade to alternative or higher classes of service on board the train where applicable. And we always include sightseeing and excursions within our packages. But if there's something specific that's not included that you want to do, see, or accomplish, let us know. We'll add it in. And so beyond what we just covered, let's cover a bit of why travelers in general love to travel with Railbookers. Well, number one, the rails are complicated things to figure out, and how they work is a little bit, of an enigma, and trying to figure it out on your own can be problematic. But when you're working with us, you have a rail expert vacation consultant who's going to provide you with that knowledge, who's going to plan the trip for you. And we can book and plan your trip, whether you're planning on going within the next few weeks, next few months, sometime this year, sometime next year, or even as far out as 2024. And we have a maximum flexibility on when and where you can actually go. For example, Companies like cruise companies or escorted tour companies will only depart on certain days of the week and often certain times of the year. With us, we have a maximum flexibility, allowing you to travel to almost any or pretty much any destination that you're looking for any length of time, on whatever date you're looking to go. As we say, simply put, if the train is going there, and honestly, if it's also open and available, so do we, and so do you. And because we're Amtrak Vacations and Railbookers, we have the largest rail vacation selection worldwide in terms of what we can do, what the packages include, what destinations are available, and as we like to say here, try and stump us. Give us some of the complicated things you're looking to do, because no rail trip is too complicated for us to figure out. And we can do all of these worldwide rail trips because we have direct rail partnerships around the world, whether it is up in Canada with the Canadian Via Rail system, in the USA with Amtrak, whether it's throughout Italy with Trenitalia, the Eurostar connecting from the UK to France and points beyond, and other great options all around the world that'll make your trip complete. And a friendly reminder, you don't need to be planning to go next week, next month, or even this year. If you're getting ready to travel for next year or the year after, and you want to get ahead of the game, you can start planning now for then with Railbookers and Amtrak Vacations. Or if you haven't planned yet, but you are looking to go pretty quickly, whether it's last minute or sometime this year, give us a call. Let us know. We can help plan that for you just the same. So let's take a moment to talk all about the trains up in Canada that we can provide for your wonderful Canadian rail journey. The first and foremost I want to cover is the Canadian Via Rail system, which is a quite expansive rail system all throughout the neighbors to the north, Canada, of course. And the most popular route itself is what is known as, and very applicably known as, the Canadian, which will run between Toronto all the way out across the country to Vancouver. Though there are some other popular routes, such as the Ocean, which will travel basically from eastern Canada and up through the Maritimes and end in Halifax. There are other areas of the train that'll go up into the Yukon type area. So there are multiple options for you to pick from. And what is always one of those popular areas on the Via Rail train is the dome car, with the expansive windows that climb right up to the roof of the train car itself, making it comfortable and easy for you to enjoy all of the incredible views of the prairies, of the lakes, of the mountainscape, of the cities as the train is rolling by and rolling through. And one of the other key aspects of traveling on board the train is when you have a sleeper cabin or in a cabin of accommodation for that, for the overnight travel, meals are included. And the meals on the train are wonderful. I've had some incredible meals myself, sitting down, enjoying the higher end service of the meals cooked to order with a full menu to choose from. One unique aspect is that quite often the meals provided will be tailored or complementary to the area of Canada you are traveling through. For example, I did a trip into the Canadian Rockies a few years ago, and we boarded the train in the mid-morning. That way we had lunch on board the train. And what I enjoyed was a nice shrimp risotto type meal, which is very applicable. We were traveling from British Columbia. We were traveling from Vancouver right out on the water, so seafood is abundant. Then by that evening, we were heading closer into Alberta, so a little bit more into the country itself. And so things tended to be a little bit more hearty on the menu. A delicious chicken cordon bleu and an incredible chocolate mousse for dessert. And if I'm already making you hungry, well, that is the point. You can sit down, enjoy your meal services right on board the train as it's going through the Canadian countryside. Now, there are several different options for sleeper cabins and sleeper accommodations on board the Via Rail. The first level of which are berths. Now, berths are kind of an interesting way of going about things. Number one, just so you folks know, they are really a great cost saver benefit. During the day, they are big, comfortable seats in the open area of the train, but all of that basically buttons down in the evening time to what is some of the biggest bedding accommodations on the Via Rail itself. It folds down. There are upper and lower berths. So if you're traveling as a single passenger, it's a great accommodation. If you're traveling as a couple, then that's great because we can book for you the upper and lower berths in connection with one another. And you can see the comfort that one has. It's a zip-up closure in the evening time with a big, thick curtain that'll then cover that. And you will still have the access to the big picture window. That is one of the great aspects of traveling on board the train. Next up from the berths are cabins for one and cabins for two. I myself traveled in a cabin for one, and I can tell you it is one of the most comfortable versions of a train cabin I've ever been on. Arguably, it could be the most comfortable I've ever been on, now that I think of it, in comparison to me traveling all around the world, which I have done by train. Now, the cabins for one are, as one would suggest, fit for a single traveler. What you are seeing here is a cabin for two, which has two nice, comfy seats during the day. They're side by side so they can turn inward or face outward towards the window. You can see the attendant coming through with some cup of coffee or tea. It does have a water closet right within the cabin itself. That is the door you're seeing right front and center. And at night, it folds down to bunk-style sleeping accommodations. From there, we have the premier or most prestigious way of traveling on board the Via Rail, very applicably named the Prestige Bedroom, which the best way I can compare this is think of a captain's quarters or a queen's quarters on board a cruise line. Well, that is that version on board the Via Rail. During the day, it honestly looks like a den with a wraparound couch, a flat screen TV with some preloaded movies, TV shows, music, bits of entertainment, a brand new, state-of-the-art, pristine, private bathroom within the cabin itself, a big picture window that is, again, one of the highlights of traveling on board the Via Rail, is traveling through the Canadian wilderness and the mountains and the countryside and enjoying all those lovely sights right from your seat, right from your cabin, wherever you happen to be on the train. Now, again, all meals are included, whether you're in a berth, a cabin of one, cabin for two, or a prestige bedroom. Now, it should be noted that alcohol is provided within the cost of the prestige bedroom. You will also tend to have a private attendant to your cabin who will come around, who will ask you if there's any concerns you have, any needs you have, provide any additional alcohol or cocktail drinks that you may want to enjoy, and just be there to tend to your service. Prestige cabin travelers will also have access to what is known as the park car at the back of the train. Just so you know, that there is a dome car on all of the long-distance Via Rail routes that is open access for everybody. But those on the prestige level will have access to their own private dome car, and again, what is known as the park car, at the back of the train. It basically looks like its own private lounge with seats that wrap around the back, as you can see there. If you were looking the opposite way, you would see a staircase that goes up to the private prestige dome class. And right before this park car seating is a private bar car that you will see right here. So you can actually see on the right there the entryway to the back of the park car. You can see the bar car right there with the attendants will be serving alcohol, hors d'oeuvres. And typically, when the train makes its bon voyage departure, there is a traditional sparkling wine or champagne toast for everybody to enjoy. Now, it is worth noting that the Via Rail is incredible. It is a great aspect for the overnight travel on board the train or the long distance aspect of traveling on board the train and connecting into the Canadian Rockies. However, it should be noted that we also have packages that will combine the Canadian Via Rail system with the famous Rocky Mountaineer service, which is really a 5-star level of travel that you will see as we jump through the next few slides. Here you can see, again, the big panoramic dome cars, which are applicable for Via Rail, but also very much applicable for the Rocky Mountaineer. Here you can see they're on the upper level, traveling through the Canadian Rockies specifically, enjoying all the sights from the window of the train. And we have options for both Silver Leaf service and the upgraded Gold Leaf service on board the Rocky Mountaineer. And so whatever your budget, if you are looking to do a Rocky Mountaineer trip in conjunction with a Via Rail trip, we have access for you. Onboard dining is, of course, available, included with the Rocky Mountaineer services. And I will tell you, I was just talking with a Rocky Mountaineer representative the other day. Their onboard chefs are extremely professional, of course. They love to try and be stumped. You know, there was apparently a story about a woman who had many allergies and many dietary restrictions and traveled fairly recently on Rocky Mountaineer. The onboard chefs were informed of this as they were traveling and did everything in their power to create a specially made dessert for this person, for this traveler. And that's just one example of the premier service that one can expect when purchasing and traveling on a Rocky Mountaineer experience. So let's cover a couple of featured Canadian vacations that folks are interested in and booking right now that will include travel and highlight travel throughout Canada, but also in particular, on some of them, the Canadian Rockies, such as the Canadian Rail Experience. This one is a 4-day trip that'll travel from Toronto, making its headway out of that departure city for 4 nights across Canada, again, across and through the major Canadian cities, the prairies and the plains, through the Keys during the day, and then eventually end in Vancouver. I know this is a major highlight, and even for many, a bucket list or travel list experience to just get on the Canadian rail system and just go across. Well, here you can see what's highlighted on the map. This trip in particular doesn't necessarily focus on going to specific destinations. It includes a night in Toronto, which you can see by the little bubble with the 1 in it. It includes a couple of nights stay in Vancouver. You can see that with the bubble with the 2. But the main highlight on this trip is if you just want to get on the train, probably with a sleeper cabin of some level, and just go, and the focus being on the rail travel itself, this would be the one for you. Next up, we have the Trans-Canada and Rockies Adventure, and this is going with the Rocky Mountaineer and the Via Rail included, encapsulated on one trip. This one heading back eastbound. The last one went from east to west. This one is starting in Vancouver, going west to east. So this will include a stay in Vancouver. It is worth mentioning again that we have accommodations ranging from 3, 4, and 5-star hotels for you to pick from at these major destinations. So whether it is mixing and matching hotel types, if you want to shave off a little bit and save and stay at a clean, comfortable, convenient 3-star in one city and then upgrade to a 4 and a 5-star in another, that's fine. If you want to stay at 3-star levels throughout, if you want to keep the budget at a certain level, again, we can handle that. Or if you want to stay at more 5-star properties, including the Fairmont properties in the Canadian Rockies, we have access to that as well. Now, on this particular trip, you will start in Vancouver and travel through Kamloops by way of the Rocky Mountaineer day itinerary, eventually ending in Banff. Banff being one of the major, if not the major highlight of the Canadian Rockies. It is an incredible city. I like to kind of refer to it as almost like a college-esque, ski mountain-esque town that is definitely, they know why people are visiting. It's quaint. It really is a classy place to visit, nestled upon or amidst the snow-capped Rockies. Another crown jewel of the Rockies is a visit and stay out in Lake Louise. And again, we have access to the Fairmont properties, including the Fairmont Lake Louise, literally overlooking that lake there. From there, you will travel and visit up into Jasper and Jasper National Park. And again, a friendly reminder that not only do we include the hotel stay within the packages, we include sightseeing and excursions throughout as well. So you will take the Rocky Mountaineer throughout the Rockies on its day ride. You will travel on the Canadian Via Rail, but you will also stay and sightsee throughout these areas as well, before boarding the Via Rail for the overnight journey eastbound, hence the name of the package, ending in Toronto itself. So here is a map of all the inclusions. You can see some of the other highlights under the very applicably named highlights portion of the slide, with a Banff Lake cruise, a sightseeing tour of the Icefields Parkway, connecting through the Canadian Rockies and up into Jasper National Park, sightseeing throughout Toronto and Vancouver, and the journey itself across Canada on the Via Rail. Now, arguably our most popular Via Rail and Rocky Mountaineer combined itinerary is the Grand Circle of the Rockies. It's very similar to what you just saw, where it starts in Vancouver, travels by way of the Rocky Mountaineer through Kamloops, doing a visit and stay in Kamloops, and then connecting on its crown jewel through Banff. And then what will happen is we'll connect you through Lake Louise in Jasper, but then you will then travel for one overnight on the Via Rail back to Vancouver. So this is a little bit more of a compact itinerary. You can see it starts with one night in Vancouver, it ends in one night in Vancouver, 2 in total, then going through Kamloops, through the Rockies, up through Jasper, and then back overnight on the Via Rail. So this is a little bit more of a compact itinerary, but because it includes a Rockies visit, a Rocky Mountaineer day trip train journey, an overnight Via Rail train journey, and a visit and stay and exploration throughout the Rockies, it is our biggest seller with these combined itineraries. And then I would be mistaken if I didn't highlight some other areas of Canada, such as the Maritimes in Eastern Canada, such as Quebec and the Canadian Maritimes rail journey, connecting Montreal, Quebec City, and then up into Halifax. I love Montreal, traveling through the highlight of the old French district, going through St. Catherine Street. It's a historical city. It's a bustling city. There's a lot to see, to do. The cuisine is incredible. It is definitely a foodie city. From there, you'll travel up into Quebec, which is basically like stepping into France itself. It is a major French-speaking city. In fact, it's majority French-speaking. You will literally feel like you have traveled to France, but will be within, of course, in Canada itself, and then connecting overnight into Halifax. So this itinerary will include an overnight on the famous Ocean train, which will connect through New Brunswick into Nova Scotia and into Halifax itself, after doing 2 nights in Montreal, 1 night in Quebec. And then before we end this itinerary, I do want to highlight what makes a luxury rail journey different. And we highlighted a couple of luxury rail journey itineraries on the presentation today. Those that include the Rocky Mountaineer and also options for the Prestige class cabin on the Via Rail. Often the routes they travel upon are iconic, or historic, or incredibly scenic, or a mixture of all three. Impeccable onboard service and world-class cuisine, as we highlighted on the Via Rail and Rocky Mountaineer. A variety of onboard sleeping accommodations available, and for some of the more international itineraries, we can also include private excursions and additional activities to be added to the package itself. And if you'd like to do a little bit more research on us, feel free to go on our website, railbookers.com, and download one of our free digital brochures. We have our highlighted Railbookers Independent Rail Vacations itinerary brochures, but we also have some highlighting our luxury rail journeys. Or if you are booking cruises, whether they are international river cruises, cruises up to Alaska, or even cruises along some of America's rivers, then we have some pre and post cruise extension packages, which are neat ways to add on to a trip, onto a cruise before or after that particular itinerary. And if you have any additional questions or would like to start doing some research along with one of our rail experts, you have the phone number right front and center. You can go on our website, or if you like to work with a local travel advisor, feel free to contact them. We work with travel advisors all throughout the world, so it can be convenient to you. I want to thank you for signing on to the presentation today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, folks.